Hello, this is the Reflect&Connect from with the Stringham and Norgard readings. I read both of them. Main things that I took away from the Stringham article was in the Stringham's there's a strong emphasis on like traditional ensemble, how it incentivizes convergent thinking, and how composition encourages divergent thinking, like multiple valid musical solutions for the second one versus accurate performance for the traditional ensemble. Um, there was also talk of expanding the teacher role, how like teachers should go beyond performer teachers to become facilitators of creative music making. Yeah, that makes sense. um, Teachers do not have to be master composers to guide students. You just have to be able to arrange things that could work for the orchestra and maybe altering some things in set arrangement to work with each individual section as well. Um, there was also section basically like strategies for building compositional community. And it gave like a bunch of things, but I have a list that I'm going to just read off like five of them. It said to use existing repertoire to explore compositional elements, frame composition as a tool to understand and improve performance, encourage students to co-create rubrics and assess their own work, develop public platforms to showcase student compositions like concerts, awards, festivals, etc. And provide feedback through open-ended questions, peer review models, and like, yeah. One of the overall, I guess, benefits you could say of like reading this article, one of the takeaways, is it empowers students as creators, develops musical literacy, and encourages personal expression. Now with the Norgard PDF, it's like the same book or something. Because I think it was the same book. This talks more about improvisation rather than composition. I think he encourages it as like being a vital tool for fostering creativity. There's two frameworks for improv that I think they listed: stored patterns and learned rules. The stored patterns being like pre-learned motor skills, gestures, and the learned rules are like note choices, like per tonal or atonally, and not memorizing certain patterns, just like improv. You can do both, but still focus on like macro structures. As in the reading. What was next? Oh, it was like a skill development learning. The Kratos model. How beginners focus on movement and sound production. Intermediate students focus on deliberate note choices, and advanced students focus on structure and musical intent. Yeah. If you want to compare and contrast the two, like primary focus for the Stringham one was composition as a classroom community building one. And the primary focus for the Norgard was the improvisation as a means of individual creativity. You know, composition versus improv, long-term projects versus immediate practice, divergent thinking versus cognitive science, like pattern based models. So yeah, it was an interesting read to kind of compare the two, because I don't think there's necessarily a right answer. Because everyone that I know a lot of people, at least in the School of Music, that like both improv and composition. Bryce McCandless, for example, loves doing both. But in a sense, kind of composition is improv. You're coming up with your own piece, but just not playing the piece. You're improvising, making music, generating music on a sheet of paper, not producing music with sound necessarily. So I think it's really interesting. Like the kind of like what's the term? Dichotomy of these two articles. I think it's really interesting. They both expand like traditional performance based instruction, but they approach that go through different ways, as I said before. So it's a good read. I enjoyed it a lot.